Good afternoon and welcome to what day is it? Tuesday the 11th of January. The other day I was measuring in the engine, back in the engine room, looking at the battery bank and doing a bit of measuring up, ready for the new batteries, which are due to arrive on Friday, 3 days time. And whilst in there I noticed that when I'd obviously this last year I'd painted all the engine bay out, that when I run the engine on a Sunday, which I do every Sunday, I leave it for like half an hour, 45 minutes, just so everything's functioning and it does it good, and it's using up the old diesel that's in the tank, which it needs burning off before I start putting fresh diesel in. I noticed that there was quite a few areas that wanted a good wipe out. You're going to get condensation in an engine room because obviously that's around cold water, because it's down in the water itself. And when you run the engine, that's going to create a lot of warmth under the floor of the stern deck, and then obviously as it cools down you're going to get droplets of water. So I'm going to go in there now and I'm just going to show you what it's like, and obviously I'll clean that out and let you see that it looks nice. But I also just want to quickly show you how the engine was plumbed in to the water tank, because obviously now when I run the engine, it heats the water in my clarifier tank, or water tank for those who aren't living on a boat. So I'll get the cover up and I'll show you. Welcome to the engine room. And as you look down that side, again, I hope this light isn't making the video flash, but it can do, so I do apologise. You can see a little bit of staining, it's nothing major. And when we come down to the rear of the engine room, you'll see there's some water there. Now that is actually simply being caused by condensation. There's no water dripping from the prop area. It is solely through condensation, and where I've been either chucking buckets of water across the back of the boat when I've been cleaning. And then if I just swing you around again, you'll see just down there it's water that's come from the condensation from nowhere else. I just want to get it all mopped out. But whilst I'm here, I can just show you where my pointy finger is now. This tap was turned off, and as was where that brass elbow is, you'll just see in front of it there. Can you see it? It's like a tap. Now that obviously was part of the engine design, so you could plumb it into the boat's water system to heat the water. So the pipes that I showed you in the vlog that was in the engine room have been brought through the bulkhead, and there they are behind the battery bank, and on this good heavy gauge heater hose, it's been now plumbed to the engine inlet and outlet. So as the engine's running, the heat of the water that's cooling the engine is sent through one of the pipes, and then obviously naturally returns back through the other, through the coil in the water tank, and heats my water. So when you're cruising, you're going to get a tank full of hot water for absolutely nothing other than the diesel that you're going to be spending anyway, because you're actually cruising the waterways. So yeah, that's that. While I'm down here, I'm going to measure up this battery bank down in there, and I can just about see it hiding away, to see how we're going to put the new batteries in there. So I just thought I'd show you. I'm going to get a good wipe out, and then I'll just let you see that it looks better when I've done it. But yeah, that must be right. That's all now dried out and wiped. Got all the main stains off it. It's never going to be immaculate, but it's an engine room. But yeah, it looks a lot nicer. Happy with that. I'm going to put the cover on, and I'm going to run this engine and see how long it takes to get some really hot water. Right, what I'm going to quickly do, it's not scientific, but it'll show how quick and how effective the temperature of the water is altered by the actual engine running. What time is it now? It is 12:30, almost 12:30. So the immersion heater, because I'm plugged into the shoreline at the moment, would have come on about 6 o'clock this morning, gone off at 7. So what water's in the tank now will only be warm, not hot. So if I put my hand under the tap, it's now running warm, and that is it. That's as hot as it is. So to give you some idea, I thought what we'll do, take a jug of water, we'll stick a thermometer in it, we'll just give it a minute. Now when I come after I've run the engine, I'm down here, look, let me just put you up, I'm talking to you and I can't see you. Right, once I've run the engine, I'll have to do the hand test, but I don't think I can put the thermometer in because it doesn't go hot enough, and I'm assuming the water will be hot. And at the moment, I don't think it's going to go any higher. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see that. I'll just turn it in a way that you can just, there you go, look. Can you see it? It was, well, it's dropping now, but it was on 100 Fahrenheit. It's now dropping down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run the engine now for 30 minutes and then I'll do the test again. Now you've got to then imagine if you're out cruising, you're going to be cruising maybe 2 to 4 hours, so it will make a heck of a difference. But let's just see in half an hour if I can still keep my hand under the tap. And I won't lie to you, if it is hot, I'll tell you it's hot, and if it isn't, I'll show you. And if it hasn't got hot, I'll put the thermometer in, but I think it'll send the mercury straight out the top. But let's give it a try. Right, while the engine's running, it's been nearly 15 minutes. Just a quick apology, I just realised that last week's vlog I said that this week's vlog was going to be called Reflections and Projections, but I did say that's if I got round to doing it, and I haven't. So it's just made up of a few little bits and pieces. My batteries, they tried to deliver them yesterday, even though I did tell the battery company that I wouldn't be on site Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. They dispatched on Monday. They tried to deliver them by pallet service yesterday. Yes, yesterday, Tuesday. So they're coming on Friday. So next week I will try and do reflections and projections, but I also just want to show you the batteries that I've chosen and my reasoning for investing in them. So apologies for not doing reflections and projections, but that's something for the future, and I will hopefully get it done for next week. Right, I've got sunshine in my face now. The engine I've just turned off has been running now exactly for 30 minutes. Bearing in mind it's freezing outside today, so the water temperature around the cooling tanks obviously is going to be very low, and the water in the cooling tanks would have been very low. So it's not going to be, as I said at the beginning, it's not going to be a scientific experiment, because really I ought to be running the engine for an hour, hour and a half before we did this test. But I just want to see if the temperature is going in the right direction. So if I turn the hot tap on, isn't it? Live TV. Starting to cook. Now I can feel that's getting hotter. Not red hot, but it's definitely getting hotter. So, thermometer test. Let's give it a few seconds. It's got to go past 100, else it's not worked. Well, it has gone past 100 by about 5 degrees. I don't know if you can actually see that. If I take it out, it'll drop. But trust me, it's about 105. So, it's going in the right direction. I didn't expect it, well, I did. I was hoping it was going to push out the top. Half an hour ain't very long, because it's got to heat the whole of the engine itself. It's got to heat up. And bearing in mind all the oil in the engine would be stone cold, as would the block. And the water that's going around the engine initially would have been really cold, because it's a freezing cold day outside. But Yeah, even when it's dropping now, it's still on under. I don't know if you can just see it. So yeah, definitely going in the right direction. I'm going to get a proper thermometer, a higher temperature one, and on a nice day, I'm going to, maybe on a Sunday when I run my engine normally, I'll run it for its standard 45 minutes just to take the chill off it, and then I'll run the engine to do a proper water temperature increase check and just see in reality, if I leave it for an hour, how big a difference. But common sense tells you, I think it's an 82 degrees stat on there. And as I say, while your engine's running hot, it may as well be heating your water and give you some free hot water for the end of the day. So at least now you know how the engine does it, and you can see that it definitely does increase, maybe not massively at the moment, but it's only 30 minutes. It would take 15 to 20 minutes just for the engine to get warmed up, and the water in the tanks that cool the engine, as I say, there's a lot of water cooling that engine, and you've got to get that hot before it can start transferring the heat into the clarifier tank. So definitely a move in the right direction. It won't be scalding, but it will be when I've been out for 4 hours cruising, I'm pretty sure. Well, good afternoon and welcome to Wednesday the 12th of January. If you watched last week's vlog where I was under pressure, or rather my accumulator was under pressure, you'll remember that I actually told you that one of the, well, two issues I had. One, it was the water pump periodically every sort of like 7-8 hours was giving it a bit of a that would be it. But the most important thing was I went to have a wash, opened the tap in the bathroom, and it was pulsing. The water was just pulsing, and the pump was kicking in and out. Consequently, having tested the accumulator pressure, it was on £2. I've reloaded the pressure to £5 under the water pump, as I told you last week, taken it to £20. Everything was perfect. Well, it was. But now I've realised that it wasn't just the accumulator pressure that was causing the actual problem. In fact, I don't think it was the pressure at all that was causing the problem, albeit it did need putting right because it was far too low. I released the video on Saturday, and on Sunday I went to have a wash, went in the bathroom, and it's as you open the tap. Now this is my morning wash before I take Misty for her walk, and I thought, well, I'll make a quick cup of tea. Went in the kitchen, filled the kettle, no problem. So whilst I'm out walking with Misty, the gears are going in my head, and I'm thinking, well, hang about a minute. If it was an accumulator problem, solely that, then surely the tap in the kitchen would also be pulsating, not just the bathroom. And I gave this quite a bit of thought while she's out picking up sticks and finding apples in the edge bottom and all the rest of it. And I found the answer. And you know something? It's something I've never thought about, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to have to stop the video, move the camera down, and then you're not going to see me, but you're going to see me showing you what actually caused the bathroom tap to and I'll explain why, after I pumped up the accumulator, it didn't do it for 2 or 3 days. And then it'll all make sense. Well, hopefully. Now I'm hoping you're going to be able to see this all right, because I'm videoing it on my camera and the screen that I would look at is up there and I'm looking obviously down here. So I'm going to try and do it as careful as I can and make it as simple as it is, and you can see. Now this little device filters the water and creates that nice spray of water, and it screws into the underside of your tap. So you've got a little filter there and also a gauze there. So it's just made up of basically a filter and a ferrule that you screw up into your tap. Now, when I moved on to Freedom, I decided to buy, all the way from China, so I may should have learnt something, 2 of these. Now these replace this. Now what this is a temperature indicator device. It screws again up under your tap, and when you turn the tap on, if cold water comes out, this outer rim here glows blue. Well, it flashes blue. If your water's warm, it flashes amber. And obviously if the water's hot, it's red. So you visually get to see exactly what the temperature of the water is before you put your hand under the tap. Now, the one in the kitchen, because I bought a pair, and I think it only cost about £6, so I'm not having a whinge because, you know, it's one of them things. And the one in the kitchen stopped changing colour. So I thought, that's a bit rubbish. So I put the original, like this, back into the kitchen tap. This one was still in the bathroom. Now, like the original, we can just see that, that's a filter. And this little filter had got a few bits in it when I first checked it on Sunday morning. Sunday morning. So I cleared the bits out and it seemed to be okay, but then after 2 or 3 attempts it stopped working. So I just need to get a knife just to show you how all this works and it all makes sense. Inside a little propeller, turbine, and the pressure of the water going through creates an electric current, and there must be a little sensor in there that tells it which colour light to put on. It has a shield over the top that fits nice and snug, and then it has this little filter and you screw it up under your tap. Now I'm assuming now that when the initial was happening last week, there were some bits in this, and with me putting more pressure in the accumulator, it was pushing the water, not only pushing the water past this, but it was also making that little turbine actually turn. And I think that turbine sticks, because on Sunday I took it apart, cleaned this little filter, put it back on, screwed it under the tap, and it was working. But then after 5 or 6 attempts, it stopped working and it was pulsing. So I've removed it. I've put the original filter back up under the tap and it works perfect. So the lesson is, don't put one of these on your tap. If you do put one on, and I'm imagining if you do it in a house tap, there'll be that much pressure permanently there that the chances are, I don't know, you may not get that problem, I don't know. But if you've got one of these on and your tap is pulsing, then just go to the trouble of taking it off from under the tap. Only screws in, finger tight. Check that little filter's clear. Put it back on, put it back under your tap. If it's still pulsing, take it off, chuck it in the bin, put your original one on like I've done, end of problem. So I'm not under pressure. Well, I was, but now everything is working onky-dory by using the original part as it should be on the tap. So I don't know if any boaters out there have ever invested in these. Cracking little idea, especially, you know, for if you've got kids that can see the temperature of the water before they put their hands under the tap. But when they go wrong on a boat, you automatically, as I did, assume it was the accumulator. And in one respect, because it did go wrong, it did make me check the accumulator, and I realised it was way under its pressure. But it wasn't, now looking back, it wasn't the accumulator that was causing the pulsing. It was a faulty light indicating temperature spout, for want of a better word. There. So, hands up, it wasn't what I thought it was, but at least I've now solved that problem. Just thought I'd share that with you. So there you go. You see, it's all a learning curve. Every day is a school day, as I say, when you live on a boat. And it could be frustrating if you're out on the water on your own and you think you've cured a problem and that problem suddenly comes back. Step back away from the problem, give it a little bit of thought, think it through, look at the things that you may have altered, changed or fitted during the time you've owned your boat, and just do like I did. Give it some thought, check it out, remove what you think could be the problem. Hey presto, no longer got a problem. So I'm getting ready for a cider. Cider of the week. Well, that's it for this week. Kept it short because I said I would try and do a few more shorter videos. Just wanted to update you, as you've seen, on the under pressure scenario, and I hope that might help somebody in the future if they find themselves in a similar position. And I did mean to mention, when I did the testing the water temperature, I was referring to the engine being cold, which obviously this time of year it's going to be, stood in the marina doing nothing, and the water tanks that cool the engine would be full of cold water. But what I forgot to mention is my hot water tank, clarifier tank as they call it on a boat, is 57 litres, so that's roughly 12 builders' buckets of warm water. And you've got the coil, metal coil that runs around inside the tank, which the engine's hot water is circulating through, and then the heat radiates into that water. So although 5 degrees didn't sound a great deal, I've been thinking about it since I've shot that bit of video. It's quite good, you know, and you've got to take it in the context, as I said earlier, of when you're out cruising. You're going to create a lot more heat because the water in the cooling tanks will get warmer and warmer, and the water in the main clarifier tank is going to get hotter, and then the water that's going round from the engine will have a lot easier job heating up what's in the tank. So that said, let's do cider of the week. And I'm now using the second bottle out of the gift pack that Polly, my daughter, got me for Christmas. And this one just says Pulp Apple Craft Cider. You see it? 330ml, and it's 4.7%, and it says full of flavour, what you'd expect it to be, a medium cider made from real cider apples with a delightful sharpness and slightly dry, fresh tang. Right. So this one hasn't got any dessert apples in like last week's. So, as I say every week, let's crack it open and see how good it is. I can't tell you where to buy it. I can't tell you how much it is because it was a present. And it was a display box of 3, as you possibly seen if you watched last week. But they are, look, that's the label. So take a screenshot, and then if it proves to be nice, get some. And that again, you know, it's weird, isn't it? Certain sizes, you smell them, you just got to get a whiff of it and you just know. Using the glass that came in the box, because I think my daughter wouldn't be very impressed if I used my tankard. So let's see if it tastes as nice as it smells. I'm actually ready for this because it's a glorious day. It's what is it, Wednesday the 12th? Absolutely glorious. Just got back from walking Misty. I'll cut a little bit of that in this video because it's difficult sometimes to include her because most of the time she's asleep. But she has been out on the field rummaging around. She's always in the edge bottoms looking for fallen apples that's not yet rotted. Typical Labrador, you know, starving to death. But yeah, it's really sunny. In fact, I've just checked my control for my solar, and apparently my yield so far today is 830 watt hours. Must mean something to somebody. I'm still learning. So one thing I do know a little bit about now is cider and which ones I like. Could this be one of them? Oh, that's even nicer than last week's. And I thought last week's was nice because it got dessert apple in it, so it wasn't that sharpness of a cider apple. Again, as I said last week, these are very light coloured ciders, not so dark. I think it's some of the things that they must put in some of these flavoured ciders. And I don't mean the red berry ones, but some of the others seem to have a bit of a metallic-y, chemical taste, but they seem to be darker. This is a nice light cider, very, very bubbly, very refreshing. I'm not at work tomorrow, which means I can drink the whole bottle. I try not to drink it if I'm on call, but I'm not on call, so that's fine. This is lovely. It's light. It's very, very flavourful. I love it. It's weird, isn't it? There's some ciders you just take to and others you just don't like. Now, this is a weird thing. When you swallow it, you might be too young to know, but if you can remember Lucozade back in the 60s and 70s, when Lucozade actually tasted like Lucozade, because it doesn't taste the same nowadays, not the original. I don't care what they say on the bottle. It definitely doesn't taste the same as it did when I was a kid. This tastes a little bit like Lucozade. That, if you've had Lucozade in the 60s, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, it's got a Lucozade kind of taste. It's not heavy, it's not twangy, as in it doesn't leave an aftertaste. And I'd give it as an all-rounder. I wouldn't say specifically for a meal. It's nice, but I think you just need something a little bit more cidery, you know, that's palatable with having it with a meal. But it's a very, very nice social cider for sure. I think I wouldn't rush out to buy it, but I would definitely buy it if I saw it on the shelf. It's nice. It's nice. I'd only rate it 7.5. You know, it's not up there with the big boys, but it's a nice cider, and it's worth getting a bottle and try it yourself. Depends what your tastes are, but for me, it's a 7.5, and that still ain't bad. Ain't bad. So, end of a short vlog, well, hopefully short, for your sake. And again, apology for not doing the reflections and projections, but I have to look back at all the year's vlogs, and I just haven't had time to do it, to be honest with you. And when I did have time, I was spending it with Misty, so unfortunately it doesn't get sorted. I might have it for next week. My batteries, as I said earlier, is coming on Friday, so I want to do a little bit about them. I'm not installing them straight away, but I will have them and I'll show you them. And so until next week, all that remains for me to say is, if you do like these shorter videos, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to put comments in. And if you haven't already subscribed, if you've just happened to fall across this chap here, sat drinking cider, talking a little old double Dutch, and you think, well, he's intriguing, subscribe, press the notification bell, and you'll get me again next week. And if you don't think I'm very good, Don't do either. All that remains for me to say is stay safe, keep sanitizing, keep your masks on, keep away from other people as much as you can without being antisocial. And from Misty and me, cheers.